Good evening, everyone. Welcome to LFC Transfer Room. I'm here tonight, joined by Kev and Tom to discuss the latest developments around Liverpool Football Club. It's been a tense afternoon or evening at Anfield yesterday because of the Man United game, obviously. 2-2 draw, not great, not terrible. I think looking at the game, you kind of have to take a point because it really could have gone either way, especially towards the end. But not, of course, not the greatest result considering what were the things that I've seen leading up to that game. But I guess that's just social media in a nutshell. But before we get into that, please make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. If you're new, leave your thoughts there in the chat as well. We'd love to hear from you as well. And Kev, how's your evening?
All good, mate. I'm off all this week, going to Spurs on Wednesday, so all good, mate. How are you?
Decent enough. Got a bit of snow here, but it's gone now as well. Maybe another battering there for you in store at Spurs. With the way they're doing now, I wouldn't be surprised. But we'll get into that maybe a bit later. Tom, how about you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Certainly not as disappointed as most people are about the result yesterday. I'm fairly calm about it. Still in a very healthy position. A draw against Man United can always happen. So for me, I'm not too down about it at all. Also looking forward to Spurs on Wednesday. Might see you down there, Kev.
Well, you'll definitely not see me down there, but hopefully let's have fun and enjoy that game. So starting off, I think maybe we want to touch a bit on the United game yesterday. As Tom said, I'm kind of in the same boat. I can't say that I'm really, necessarily angry or extremely disappointed with the result. I think at the end of the day, the way we started off was a bit slow, and we allowed them to kind of get into the game, and then from there it kind of turned into the way it went. I think at the end the point was fair, as I said, considering all things. Could have nicked it at the end. Bradley and Virgil Van Dijk, probably, like those two chances I remember towards the end, that really could have helped win us the game. But that's that. It's at the end of the day, it's a result that kind of keeps things the way they were at the start of the game week. Though we could have maybe gained 2 points on Arsenal, who drew at Brighton, which was, it was that, and also the fact that it was a derby. You kind of wanted to win that game, but then when you look at in I tried to look at this in a way that at the beginning of the season I said top four is the aim. If we get top four, I'm satisfied. And now being in this position is something that me personally, at least, I didn't expect. So I can't be too hard on a team. These results can happen. If you look at the results, I mean, even if you look at the four draws that we got, one was away at Arsenal, which is not a bad result. One was at Newcastle, where we got like the 3-0 goal in the 94th minute, something like that. One was yesterday. One was against Fulham when we played for like 70 minutes in down to 10 minutes. So I guess looking at the season as a whole, we're still in a very good position. Though yesterday, Kev, a bit disappointing, maybe with some of the attitude of some players, and maybe with the result in the end, because as I said, it could have helped us gain 2 points on Arsenal, obviously smash United again, which is never something to take for granted.
No, true. They wanted it more than us. That's what it all boils down to in the end. If we're being truthful, and we can't hide to the fact that they actually turned up and wanted to play against us. I think it was mentioned in their comments from Fernandez that we turned up for City and us. Why can't they do it for the rest of the season? And that shows the consistency. Just shows that at that game gave them enough time to prepare as well and get their tactics, what Ruben's been trying to do. So, that said, we played into their hands. We had nothing in midfield. We were slow, lethargic. Definitely missed the energy of Szoboszlai. Curtis seems to be a bit off it. I thought we didn't start well, and that was the way it ended up. You look at the second half, we usually come out better second half, and again, we just didn't get going. I think that plays into the possession kind of things. We weren't having regular chances, they were intermittent, and that kind of played into their hands a bit and played into their counter-attacking. Our, our, our play itself in the final third wasn't as what it was good, not as crisp as it usually is. Pass too long, too short, or then we do silly things like Trent did and put ourselves in a vulnerable position with a 3 or 4 against 2. So, we weren't helping ourselves, and that played into their hands. And the only positive I can take from it is it played into they played similar to the way Forest do. So it set us up for the Forest game. And, I think it'll be a game like Forest where we'll learn from it and we'll come away benefiting. But the best time to lose points and drop points is when other teams around you are dropping them as well.
Kind of feeds into the narrative that Liverpool don't win when other teams drop points. But at the end of the day, it's one step closer to the end of the season, and we're still 5 points, 6 points ahead of Arsenal. So obviously, as we said, we're still in a pretty good position. It was more the fact that for me personally, it was the fact that I absolutely despise Man United. I want to see us win against them, but then again, I think it would have if it would have happened like against any other team, I wouldn't have had that big of a problem with it. But I think that was kind of the biggest worry. I think also, if you look at it, my opinion is that they got a bit lucky. Like, even, of course, you would expect us to play better than they were, but when you look at it, the goal that they scored, the first one, came off the post. Second goal, if you look at it, crossed one between Konate's legs, and then the finish one between Robertson's legs. We also got towards the end, as I said, with Bradley and Van Dijk, we had 2 huge chances to finish off the game. I feel like on another day, those things don't go against us and don't cost us as much as they did yesterday. But at the end of the day, 2-2 draw at home, and it is what it is. Tom, I would have preferred us to win this game mainly because I was more worried about the fixtures that would come. In January and in February, we're going to play Forest away, Bournemouth away, possibly Everton away as well, and Bournemouth away, which all 4 of these don't really, bring like that a huge amount of confidence when you look at it on paper, at least, especially the Forest one and the Everton one, which I'm really not looking forward to. But are these 2 points that big of a loss in this context?
No, I wouldn't say so. The season's gone by when, you had Man City up against you, then it would be a disaster, that type of game, because you just couldn't drop points. Even a draw would feel like a defeat anytime you draw to anyone. Even like Arsenal away, Chelsea away, if you drop points, even a draw, it's a disaster. Whereas this season, I think 85 points wins the league quite comfortably. So it is more of like a normal playing ground. You can afford to drop points now and then. So it's never ideal dropping points at home. Especially to the team 14th. But yeah, it's Man United. It's form can go out the window in these type of games. So yeah, I don't think it was a terrible performance. We just couldn't quite get going. I don't think that does seem to happen with us. Like, we had a week off, didn't we? I don't know what it is, but when we seem to have a bigger break, we can't seem to get going. I think we've thrived when we're playing every few days. So yeah, that trend kind of continued. But yeah, nothing too concerning for me. Still a very healthy lead. Arsenal haven't put a winning run of more than 3 games all season. So there's no consistency from them, no consistency from anyone. So I think as long as we continue kind of plodding along, I think we should get the job done, to be honest. And yeah, no cause for too much concern for me.
Yeah, see, that's the thing regarding the points is what I have in mind as well. I think 85. 90 is like just to be absolutely certain, but I think 85 points gets you the league this season. And I'm trying to look at it that way, but then I also get all the PTSD from going against City, and I remember dropping points was this absolutely catastrophic thing that you couldn't afford to do at any time during the season. And it's almost like you drop points and you feel like that that the thing in your stomach again, the anxiety building, where you feel like it's the end of it now. But looking at it, yeah, still obviously with the game in hand, things are looking fairly good for us at the moment, and there's still a long way to go. But then The thing that I guess worries me most is, apart from those fixtures that I've mentioned, we also have to play City, Chelsea, and Villa away as well later on in the season. It's like, I mean, we're not going to drop points in all of these 7 games that I mentioned, but you would hope to win, like, the majority of them, because you never know. I just think the thing that I don't want to do is drop enough points so that Arsenal are close enough and they can get a sniff, because then at that point, the nerves kick in and you just never know how things are going to go from there on. That's why I would have hoped that after February, we would have had like double digits, which would have been possible with a win yesterday. Now we're going to have to rely on Arsenal to drop points as well again, and us to win everything, which is going to be difficult considering the fixtures, but obviously not impossible. I think when you look at it, even though, fans had very strong opinions on the game yesterday and on the result, when you look at it, it's at the end of the day, I don't really feel like I literally forgot what I was about to say. See, that's what happens when I have 3 things in mind at once. But yeah, considering all things considered, I think at the end of the day, we're still in a good position. And then hopefully things are going to go our way. Arsenal seem to have, let's say, a few better fixtures in the near future. But then again, they also have some players missing. So we're going to have to wait and see. Maybe Spurs actually turn up for the North London derby. Who knows? The one other thing that I wanted to mention before we move on to other stuff is I don't think we could have gone forward and not discussed this topic. I'm not of the opinion that we should, go too hard on players on stream. You never know, what goes viral shows up on their feed, whatever, stuff like that. So I'm not going to be too harsh on anyone live on stream. I just think that yesterday, Kev, it was just extremely, extremely disappointing to see Trent on not even the goals alone, but then in numerous other situations. I think we've seen clips on Twitter of some counters by United where Cody Gakpo or Mo Salah were trekking back and Trent was just jogging back, like he looked like he's not even bothered at times, which I think, especially in the context of all the things that were discussed during the week with the Real Madrid bid and stuff like that, you would have hoped to see a reaction. You would have hoped to see Trent prove that he's still playing for the badge for the city of Liverpool, and it just seemed like he let his I don't know, his city and the fans down.
Professionally, that was probably one of his worst performances I've seen. And that's not being disrespectful or being harsh on him. He was appalling. He was shocking. He was terrible. And credit to Man United for putting everything down his side and doubling up on him. The passes he was making at times was just ridiculous. And you could see Virgil van Dijk. And as I said in our comments, it wouldn't surprise me if I've said it to me mates, that he doesn't get a grip of him, because I'm not being funny. The amount of times both goals came from either a mistake by him or him not reacting. So we can put blame anywhere else, but him kicking the ball away and trying to find a pass that 1 in a million can do sets up their chance for the second half. The second goal comes down his side as well. I have got this feeling that this was always my worry. I think Tom was on with me last week when I mentioned it. He goes in. There was a 50-50, and he didn't go in full pelt for it, and everyone was onto it straight away. And this is the issue he's going to have. Now, either he comes up and balls up and comes out and says he can put all this to bed, all this Real Madrid talk, but he hasn't. So the ball's definitely, and everyone else has been professional. Virgil and Mo have been professional and carrying on. Anything to do with the contract, they've just took it out completely out of the question. He hasn't done anything like that. It's all about him. In a week where we're playing Man United and we should be talking about how well we've been playing, all week it's been based around one individual and not the team who's been playing so well. And I hate that, the fact that we are actually in a week where we're playing one of our biggest rivals and it's being all about him. And when it comes down to it, he didn't even show up in the game. And I wasn't the only one who saw it. I think 40,000, that was 60,000 that were there will witness how poor he was. It's shocking in a way. And, he wasn't the only one. But when you're putting a name up for yourself and you're saying that I am going, and I want to win Ballon d'Ors, on that performance, you're not going to win anything, lad. Because I'll be honest, if I was Real Madrid looking at that, I'd rather be getting someone like Virgil or Trent or Mo, rather than Trent, because they have the professionalism. But there again, he plays into that kind of arrogance that they like. But for me, you only have to look at Virgil when that half-hearted pass that comes to him, and he eventually gets rid of it, and the look he gives Trent wasn't the first time yesterday, and you just knew he wasn't bothered. He's not. He's not. If things aren't going your way, fair enough. But I think Bradley should have came on at half time because he was shocking in the first half for me. But I could talk all night and be detrimental, but I don't want to. But at the same time, he made players who've been absolutely woeful for Man United look like absolute world class yesterday. That's how bad he played.
Yeah, I think. Well, that's about it. That's how pretty much all of us felt. I think at some point I was just thinking of I was thinking about as you said, I was thinking about maybe him going off at halftime, but then I thought maybe Slot wants to give him that bit of confidence and showing him, even though you had a bad 45 minutes, I know you still have the talent to turn this around, but then it just kept getting worse and worse, which was like the thing. Like at the end, I think I'm just curious to see like all of us' reaction when he made that pass, towards the end, when you said Virgil shot it at him, when he gave him that look. I think at that time when he made that pass, I was just like thinking, I was screaming and shouting in front of the TV, and I was just like, I couldn't believe it. Like, how worse is this going to get? And the thing that kind of stuck with me was this, the thing that Bradley, after he came on, he won 3 duels in 12 minutes, and Trent won exactly 0 during his 86, which was absolutely shocking. And it's, as you said, we can all understand, you're having a bad day. You're just not playing well on that day. You can hold your hands up high. You can just apologize. You can say, yeah, it was on me. I'm taking accountability. But he just wasn't bothered. And we've seen it on the clips as well. He just simply lost interest when he lost 25 balls yesterday. 25 times he lost possession in a game in 90 minutes. That's, again, what can you say about that? And he's given away possession in dangerous areas, and he didn't even try to press back, which is like, again, the shocking thing. I don't know. Kev, just one more question before moving on. Would you start Trent going forward?
I'll be honest. I think it's fortunate this week. I'd rest him in these 2 games, and say to him, you've got a week to get this sorted, one way or the other. You're either staying or you're going, and you've got a week to sort it out. If not, you're with the academy until this. We can't have this taking this season and us all talking about him or every single minute of the day. I can't be dealing with it. The fans don't want to deal with it, and I certainly hope that Arne Slot doesn't want to deal with it either on a daily basis, but he is. I give him a week to get this sorted. Get your agent in. You've got a week off. We don't need him for Tottenham. We don't need him for Accrington Stanley. And I'd turn around and I'd say to him, get your agent in. Get this sorted. And if you want to stay, sound great, we'll play it. But after that, no, shift them out. Because enough comes enough. It will lead to either something happening in the dressing room. I'm not believing what was said last night because it's probably coming from social media, but I hope something does happen because you need that in that kind of room. We know that not everyone gets on with each other, but it's come to a point now where this could affect us going forward, and it shouldn't be about one individual. It should be about the team, and it's a team game. So you've got a week to sort it out, and then if it's sorted, Sunday stays, happy days, comes in, open arms, carry on. We learn from our mistakes. If not, shift them out. And if he hasn't been shifted out, move him to the under-18s and make him train on his own, because I don't want this team to be dealing with this one individual that's going to taint the whole season for me. So me personally, that's what I'll be doing with him. But we'll wait and see what happens. He'll probably start on Wednesday night now after I've said that. So fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would just start Bradley if he's ready against Puz, and then might start Trent against Accrington Stanley just to give him some minutes, and hopefully, and as you said, I think that's the thing that I said after the game yesterday as well, Tom, and something that I want to get your perspective on is, I thought that looking at the way things are going now, I'm afraid of what goes on behind closed doors, and if Trent causes any sort of distress that would translate onto the pitch, that would make us lose points and eventually lose out on this league title, I think I would just never forgive him.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so long this can go on for. We were talking about it on stream last week. You know, the crowd are going to be onto him anytime he, missed a tackle, he's jogging back, whatever. And you could feel it in the ground yesterday. It was already starting, and it's only going to get worse from here. So yeah, as we've mentioned loads of times, we just don't need this noise around the club, especially, when the team's doing so well. It's such a special season, and it's just been overshadowed by one individual who's, he's hardly worth all this talk, is he, the way he's played at the moment. So I agree with Kev. To be honest, it is a good chance to just say, you've got a week to come out and say you want to stay. If you're not going to do that, then see you later. Take the money for him, or make it, have him back up, or make him train with the academy, because as I said, it's just not worth the noise that he's created at the moment. And yeah, I do agree. I think Slot got it wrong yesterday for the first time. To be honest, I think Slot has been really good this season in like making changes at the right time and like making good subs. But yesterday it was clear as day that Trent just wasn't at it. It just wasn't his day, and he had to make that change sooner for me than 80 minutes. I would have took him off at the hour at the latest, because as I said, you could just see it wasn't his day. He wasn't asked. He wasn't, his passing just wasn't coming off. So he had to come off, and he didn't. He took far too long. I think Ibu as well. I don't think Ibu was fit, so I think that was a bit of a mistake as well from Slot to play in. But yeah, not a great day at the office. Trent needs sorting out one way or the other. Because yeah, it's just ridiculous, the noise that one individual is creating. So yeah, I agree with Kev. Give it a week, see what he has to say about it.
Patricio, I think the fact that we have a right back that's putting Kevin De Bruyne numbers at right back for us is, and the fact that we have this player on our hands, and at this point, I think we've all reached the point where we just don't care, just get it sorted one way or the other, and just if he leaves at this moment, I don't think we'd be, even that upset after what we've seen, because he looks checked out, and I think that kind of shows you how bad it's gotten. Trent, for me, as I said multiple times on stream, I think Trent is on course to be the best right back we've ever seen in terms of talent, of passing, of range, of creation. In terms of creation, I think he's probably, at least for the last few seasons, he's definitely been our best players in that department. But now it just looks like, with that performance, with that lack of commitment, I really don't want to see him on the pitch too soon again.
Yeah, so to be fair, like you can see he was a bit like Tom and Kev said, he's checked out. He doesn't want to be there. I think his mind's sort of like he's already got a foot in the door to Madrid anyway, which I don't understand, because as the vice captain, surely in your head you've got to still put a front up, even if you're thinking of going anyway. I mean, to talk about in previous interviews and stuff saying how you want to be the future captain and then go through all this, I think it's pretty mental to me. The fact that he hasn't shut it down quicker. Maybe it's been talks with him to say, don't say anything. Whereas I think his spoken words are a lot better since Virgil and Salah have come out and said something like, yes, you don't really realistically want your captain and probably best player to say something based on contracts that they're not receiving anything. But it also shows that they actually want to receive contracts, they actually want to have these talks and get them done. If not, they want them to be sorted just so the fans know, just so we're aware. But just being left in the blue like this isn't great. And the fact that more things are coming out of like do you see Jota's thing in the one of the videos, the LFC videos, where he like get him a pen and paper for Christmas to sign the contract? It just seems that like you can see him having fun out there with the lads, especially in training and stuff. But then, yeah, he just seemed so out of it yesterday. Just did not want to be on the pitch at all, which is why I agree with Tom. We should have started Bradley a bit earlier.
Yeah, and I think with Bradley on a bit earlier, we could have maybe. I mean, we can't predict what would have happened, but I think we would have maybe been able to avoid that second goal that they got as well, because again, it came from Trent not tracking back and Konate trying to cover for him, and then just didn't get there in time for the cross. So, yeah, I guess that's how it is. Well, see, I mean, look, I also get this this perspective as well of Salah and Verge not being linked to anyone. I just feel that, you know, as I've seen a comment here as well. Yeah, see, Salah and Verge have indeed controlled the narrative, have been very clear on where they stand, have been. When Mo Salah has been asked about Ballon d'Or, he just, you know, just talked about how he wants to win the league, and that's it. And that's like, he doesn't care about anything else. And that's kind of what I thought as well. And Patricio, and like that, why I also agree with what you said is Trent's also a scouser. Like, he has to, as your vice captain for your club, and you've experienced things firsthand as a scouser, and simply you have to have a different attitude. Like, and that's why I couldn't. If we, you know, we've seen in the chat as well. I think Steven said it. We've had the Dutch center back, who was way more into the whole game than the scouser on the pitch was, which was like shocking. I mean, well, Jones is one as well, but I don't know. Like, that's the thing for me. It took me a while to get over it in a way. I think I haven't truly gotten over it as well, either. But you know, that's another thing. I feel like it's been just disappointing because after all the talk that's been this week, you would have hoped to see a reaction from Trent, something that tells you I want to stay, something that tells you all those things that you said in the past regarding of how this means more for you and for the club and for the city. You wanted to see that translated onto the pitch, and it didn't. And that's like, I think the thing that, you know, disappointed us all at the end. But enough with the depressing stuff. Let's try and move forward and try to look at brighter things. Virgil van Dijk has well, I mean, he didn't say anything after the game yesterday when he was asked about a contract, but it looks like we're getting close to an agreement, Kev. And looking at it now, I'm curious about you, but for me personally, I feel like in terms of importance, and I said that before the game as well, for me, it's Verge in number one, Salah in second, and then Trent in third. I think in order of who I'd want to see as priorities out of the three. And now I get it that for the first, for Verge and for Mo Salah, they've also what 33 and 32, and then you could argue that maybe they could drop off at some point, but it just feels like they're in it for real, except the other one.
Yeah, the difference is that it may not necessarily be money, but it may be money and also the longevity of the actual contract. I think, you know, at the very most, I think we're probably asking for 2 years off them, with an option of a third. They're probably wanting 3 or 4, in some cases. I agree with you. They're probably, it's harder to replace the best centre back and the best left right winger in the world than what it is to replace a right back. And for that reason, I have it similar to yourself. I think it's difficult to do that. I think Virgil, you've got a player who can still compete at the very top level, and that's due to his actual positional sense. His positional sense is one of the best I've ever seen from a centre back. So you put legs around them, you put someone like an Ibu around them for the next 4 or 5 years, and a fast right back, and a very good and a similar one at left back. You basically got Virgil for the next 3 to 4, maybe 5 years at the top. With Mo, it's difficult to replace Mo. Do you replace him with one individual? I don't see anyone in the world actually putting up the numbers that he does. So, you know, do you then break that into 2 players? Very difficult at the minute to see how you don't. I'd love both of them to stay for another 3-4 years if they could, but you know, it all comes down to, you know, the business side of things, and unfortunately, you know, they're probably thinking, is it worthwhile investing that money in people who are coming to the end of the who are ended up going to retire, or replacing it with young players. But I don't see, as I've said, you know, these two special talents, you're not going to replace these straight away. So, you know, it's worthwhile just trying to see if we can come to an amicable agreement with them. But that's where I am with it. You know what I mean? But, you know, we'll see what happens. But you know, how close is close though, because every day is getting a step closer. I don't know how close we can be now. Are we at the point where we're virtually kissing the lad? Do you know what I mean? It feels as though we're that close now. And it plays into the idea that even the media don't know. So we'll keep putting these adjectives and everything out there to say that, you know, all breaking news. And it's really, when you read it and take a step back, it's much about nothing. So
Yeah, it looks like it's you know, something new that's not really new every day, and so you kind of get drawn into this this whole spiral of, you know, to be fair, I didn't expect it to go on for that long. Like I would have thought that by December we've got it wrapped up, we've signed whoever we wanted to sign, and I still believe that both Verge and Mo will sign in the end. I don't see them leaving, especially after what they said. And if they do, I think that's on us as a club now, because they've made it pretty clear that they do want to stay. So we'll see. One thing that I've also seen mentioned a lot during and from yesterday since now is the fact that we've missed Szoboszlai. So apparently from well, I haven't fact checked that, but I think we haven't dropped points that many times during the season. The 3 out of 5 matches Liverpool have dropped points and Szoboszlai hasn't started. Tom, I think we've all started the season off again with looking at Szoboszlai and saying that he wasn't really at the level we would have hoped for. But then he kind of grew into it. And now I remember us saying about Busquets when he was playing in Barcelona that you'd see how important he is only when he's not on the pitch. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that Szoboszlai is as good as Busquets was, but the thing is do you think Szoboszlai is that vital to our play now?
Not really. I think it's a bit too soon to say that. I think, you know, it's important to remember. I think a lot of us thought up until like November, December time, maybe, that he wasn't quite at it. To be honest, I was like, you know, we were saying, you know, it's been like a year now he's been off it. So I think it's a bit too early to say he's that important. Maybe last 4 or 5 games he has really stepped up, and we do miss his energy off the ball. That, you know, that is clear to see. You know, Jones in there yesterday wasn't doing much at all. We do miss Sabo's intensity a lot. But yeah, it's a bit premature to say he's that important. I think, you know, the games we drop points in, it's more down to the fixture rather than, you know, Szoboszlai, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, he's been class last month or so. He has really stepped up. Very different player to what I thought we would get in, to be fair. You know, the creative side hasn't really been there, but, you know, the legs and the intensity is, you know, it's off the scale. I didn't think he had that in him. So yeah, he's becoming increasingly important, definitely. But I couldn't say that, you know, the drop points are down to him. Not yet.
Yeah, I think his pressing is an extremely important dimension to his game that maybe I also didn't necessarily notice at the start of his Liverpool career as well. I think that, you know, I think the good thing that we can, if we can mention some of the good things that this club has done in the past few years, is that we've got a pretty strong midfield going forward now, looking at Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch, Jones, Elliott, and we also have Morton and Yoni as a bit younger as well. I'm talking about for the future. We also have Endo, who's been an absolute cult hero, but the players that I've just listed are, you know, could be in our midfield for like the next 7-8 seasons at this point. So that's also I think something that's worth mentioning. So Patricio, I said that for me, signing Verge would be priority number 1, Mo Salah number 2, and then also Trent. They're in the last of our 3 spot standings. Is it the same for you?
Yeah, I think once we get I think to begin with, I actually do agree with you. I think Verge is the most important one to sign. I think once the captain signs, I think Mo will sign straight after. It'll be quite easy. I mean, like you said, they're pretty much with the Verge with other adjectives that they could use instead, like Kev said. Trent, to be honest, I couldn't care which way it goes anymore now. I'm sort of like everyone is. They're sort of fed up with it. They just want an answer, to be fair. And just thinking of it, someone on the top of my head is like Frimpong could do those sort of numbers at right back if we didn't have Trent. Maybe not to the same, like passing as Trent. It's not as amazing, but can offer a different sort of a right back, sort of like attacking fullback. But I guess that's also he plays in a 3-5-3-4 like formation. So he's on the right mid a bit more, right wing back. But so I think, to be fair, Trent is the least priority. The fact that we've offered a 300k contract and nothing's been said about it, and it's still a bit hush-hush, is a bit daunting, I think like Trent should speak out about something, about what his intentions are, whether it is a Cristiano Ronaldo, Piers Morgan interview or something like that, where he just lets us know, even like a little thing on Instagram, letting us know what his intentions are, just to calm the fans' minds. Because like right now, if he leaves, people are just thinking, oh, well, he's more of like a Michael Owen, McManaman sort of player. Whereas, like, where's his ambition? Especially if you're fighting top of the Prem at the moment and Champions League, sort of what's going through your head? Because right now, should your main focus, like Salah is thinking, Premier League. I don't want to think about anything else, just the Premier League right now, and that's a great way to think about it. It's a great mentality to have.
Well, I mean, Michael Owen did say that he thinks he's a Liverpool legend, so who are we to disagree? And so I think the most important ones, but yeah, that's how it is. Like for me as well, if Trent would end up leaving, like I think it's just such a bad way to go out. Like with what's happened yesterday. Well, he obviously still has some time, but we'll see how things turn out. I think, as Kev said, and I think as everyone said actually on this panel, as we all said, and we should get a resolution on this like as soon as possible, because it cannot continue. We need to see something so that the club can move forward and get back to the football that they can play. We do agree. Kev is a bigger Liverpool legend than Michael Owen at this point. I think we can all agree with that. All right. Moving on. This is something that I didn't think I'd ever read, but at this point, is it that far off? Like it could literally happen next season. I mean, we could see Forrest playing at Bernabeu if he with Wood scoring twice. I doubt it, but who knows? All right. So moving forward and chatting about the youngsters, we've been talking. Kev, we've been talking about Doak, and it's being reported that Crystal Palace are now interested in Ben Doak and would, for them to be able to get closer to a signing, they would have to offer around 30 million quid. I wouldn't sell Ben Doak. I know we haven't seen really that much of him at Liverpool lately, but for me, he's always had, like, I think almost every single match that I remember Ben Doak playing in, even if it were like 10, 15 minutes, he always brought up that energy and he lit up the side as well in that short time that he got on the pitch. So especially like not even for 30 million quid is decent, obviously, but I don't think I'd take it.
It's let's be honest, every player's got a value. I think what you can do with Doak is you can put a value on him. If that's met, then you have a buy on, a sell on, or you put a release clause in. There's many options you can do with it. I think he's been the best attacking player in the Championship this season, and I'm made up for him. I think he's got that attitude that he's not scared of anyone. And I saw that last season when he was playing against Leicester in the League Cup, the way he was just standing on people's feet as though, like, it's a Sunday League game. He's a quality little player, tenacious, a bit raw. I just think this has worked out really well for both the player and the club. And it puts us in a good position to sell if we need to. if we get 30 million for him and a release clause or we can buy back, then I'd happily take it, providing that money goes towards a left back or someone in the squad rather than somewhere else. So for me personally, I think it's a win-win for both of them. It's great that you can get that kind of money for an academy player who came in at the age of 16 from Celtic, which no one didn't even know anything about, but then has set the world alight at the club. And he's not the only one. We've got another young lad from Chelsea who's looks as though he's going to be the next kind of Messi for us. So, who Chelsea weren't happy about. So, but no, it bodes well. If we can get that kind of money for any academy player, then you've got to take it. You've got to be realistic. His chances and opportunities of playing in the first 11 are going to be short, whereas you can go out, learn the game where he has done. We get a bit of money for him, and then we have an option to buy him back. That's the only way I deal with it. And we've done it with Ryan Brewster. Brewster hasn't paid off for him, but you put those release clauses in or buybacks in, so that if it does happen and they do play well, then you have that you have first option on them. There's many things that the club can do to ensure that one, we get the money, and we also, it works in our favour that if he does well, that he can come back.
Yeah, fair enough. I think obviously the amount of money is not to be taken lightly. For me, it's just, Tom, it's like every time we were talking about young prospects, he was always like one of the number one players that would come to mind, and it just seemed like he would be able to take more and more minutes as Mo Salah gets older. Even though he seems like he hasn't slowed down a bit, he actually seems to have gotten better somehow. But would you take 30 million quid for Ben Doak with a buyback clause?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably take 25 to be fair. He has done really well in the Championship this season, but I still feel like he's a fair way off, being Liverpool's starting right winger. So for that reason, I'd definitely take 25, 30 mil for him, because I can't see him being, a big player for us for another 3 years or so at least. So yeah, if you get the buyback clause in there as well, it's best of both worlds. Really, you take the good money now, but if he does really take off in the future, you've got that backup to get him back at the club. So yeah, definite take for me. And even though he has done well this year, he's still only got 2 goals in 21 games. So he's the output still, it will come, but it's still obviously really lacking still at the moment. He's still very, very raw. So yeah, I think 30 mil for me with a buyback is a no-brainer, to be honest.
Fair enough. I think I also wanted to take this comment before moving forward. I do definitely agree that Trent has been targeted by this fan base a lot, and not only by the fan base and by the media a lot. I think his defensive game has been exaggerated as to a point where they would straight out say that he's a bad defender. For me, I don't think Trent is a bad defender. I think he's absolutely amazing going forward, and he's a good, decent defender as well. I think as a whole, I think Trent is, for me, he's the best right back in the world when he actually wants to play. And I think that's the problem. That was the problem yesterday. I mean, we've kind of talked about it now for like the first 30 minutes of it, but that was the problem yesterday. It's and not only yesterday, to be honest, it's been the case for like the past few weeks, months now. I remember the Fulham game as well, where we talked about it a bit. It's the attitude that was the problem, but obviously, hopefully we may have a resolution on this in the next few days, week tops, and to see where things are going. Patricio, seems like I'm in the minority here. Would you also take the 25 for Doak?
To be honest, at first, when I first heard about it, I was a bit shocked because I was like, oh, I really like Doak. I want him to do well for us. I mean, sadly, he's plagued by injuries last season as well. And then he's doing so well in the Championship now, I think. But I kind of, hearing Kev and Tom speak about it, I think I kind of agree with them. The fact that he is too young at the moment, you wouldn't see him as the starting right winger for us, especially with Salah playing how he is at the moment. I mean, going forward, I wouldn't even see him in the squad within the first another season or two. So it's definitely the fact that, like what Tom said, give him a few seasons somewhere with a buy black clause, and then do that. I think that makes more sense. Like someone put in there, I think Jay Muse put the Solanke clause. I think we just need something where if he does pop off in the next few seasons, we can get him back in and start doing bits for us. But I think as it stands, he is a bit just too young for us at the moment. He's not first team quality at this moment in time. Although I do love watching him skin players on that right hand side. It's quite nice to see. He's got that pace about him and the dribbling skills for him. But yeah, just needs a bit more experience.
Fair enough then. Yeah, well, the thing is, I think we can definitely use the money. I just wonder if it's worth it trading like an amount that's not going to get you. Obviously, if you want to get someone now, that amount's not going to get you anyone amazing, no matter the position you're having in mind. So then, it's for me, it's about keeping Doak and giving him more and more minutes. I don't think he's ready to start. Obviously, I just feel like he could, start to get better and better under Mo Salah. But we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. Kev, one thing that maybe probably the last topic of this stream, and one thing that I also wanted to discuss was, I think we've hinted at it at the beginning of the stream as well. We are in a great position. We're in first now, 6 points obviously, and a game in hand. But the next 2 months see us go to some difficult places, to say the least. We're going to play Forest away, Brentford away, Bournemouth away, Everton away, and City away, all by the end of February. And in between, there's also a home game against Newcastle. So obviously some Champions League fixtures, an FA Cup fixture, the two legs in the EFL Cup as well. The next 2 months seem to be fairly, well, I dare to say crucial to our season, because of the amount of games and the type of games that we're going to play. And looking at it, hopefully with Trent's contract situation resolved like in the next week or so, how important are these 2 months ahead for our season?
Every month's vital, every game is vital. We're coming to the nooks and cracks of this league, and you're in those months where you've got to start playing well. You can't look too far forward. You play the next team, and you play what plays into this is the fact that we played United and the way United played yesterday. That bodes well for us going into these fixtures. I think the way they play is similar, as I said, to the way Forest do, and to the way that Brentford do as well. So we know we've got to be professional. If we be professional and treat it game by game, then we'll be fine. The problem is that we look too far ahead and we start thinking about it and get alluded into all these. We may have a cup final to think about. We may have, Champions League to think about. And what? We've got a squad. That's why we have squad players. That's why we have probably the best squad on the bench, apart from Man City, possibly in certain positions. But I'm more than happy with where we are, what we're doing. Granted, we've got to play Everton twice, but at the start of the season, you've got to play everyone twice. And if we're all being truthful, if you would have turned around to me and said to me, going into the next 2 months, you're 6 points clear, I would have bit your arm off, like anyone would. So we've got to treat these with the respect that they deserve, but also go into them, because I don't fear anyone at the minute. It doesn't matter who we play. What lets ourselves down is sometimes our individual performances and our individual errors that get in the way of a good performance, and that's been proved, and there's been evidence through this season where we've lost games or drew games, and that's where we learn from the Forest game when we got beat. I think we learn a lot from last night's game, and we move on. But if you think about it, we've got Spurs. I think we actually end up getting Ange the sack. I do think we can rest players in the FA Cup. I'd go strong in the Champions League, which is at the end of the month, where we play Lille. And then that should be enough to seal the top spot. And then you can rest players for the last Champions League game, which is against PSV in February. And the games in between, you harvest the team and change it around as much as you can. The good thing about it is we've got Ibu back, we've got Kanate back, we've got the back four virtually back to as strong as what we can. Bring in a left back in, which is where the weakness is, as well as on the right at sometimes. But you got Bradley who can come in. We have enough. What's going to defeat us is ourselves, and we proved that in certain games where our individual errors have cost us. But I wouldn't be fearful of what's ahead and who we're playing. On paper, it may look tricky. We only make it as tricky as if we don't manage the games, and if we manage the games and play the game the way we want to, and not get dictated to by other teams, then it plays into our hands, and it's for us to win. Sit back, enjoy, get your popcorn out, and at the end of the 2 months, we could be that double figures ahead of everyone else. Who knows? But this is why we're supporters. This is what we want. This is where we want to be part of, and what we've been crying out for. We didn't think it would be this soon. It's with us within a season, and just embrace it. That's what I'd say.
Me personally, I love to embrace it with a 15-point lead in January, as it happened the last time we won the league. But I guess that was a one-off, and it won't be happening anytime soon again. But yeah, that's the thing. I feel like it's a bit of recency bias now. I've seen it, online as well. I think just because we drew against United, now people have this. People think that we forgot how to play good football, like we did for like the first half of the season, and that's why I'm thinking. Obviously, we can definitely win every single one of these games that I've just mentioned. It's just up to us to kind of sort out everything behind closed doors and on the pitch as well. And I think, that's how it is. Well, we'll see Chiesa playing soon. Wow, I'm asking that question since I think November. Now, I honestly don't even know what to say anymore. Hopefully we can get him on. I mean, I'm expecting him to be on the bench at least against Spurs, and then obviously hopefully start against Accrington now, because at this point, United are back. Well, I mean, Gary Neville also said that United were going to finish above us and we were going to finish 5th. So I'm guessing like that tells you all that you need to know about him. But yeah, Kev, are you ready to be in the squad versus Accrington? Asks Clemius here.
No chance. Unless it's a beer squad, then yeah, possibly. But other than that, no chance.
Fair enough. We don't want to be taking them that lightly, I think. So it is what it is.
Thanks, Tom, me. How do we take that?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we gotta progress in the cups as well. No, to be fair, I think neither of us could be doing that well, even against a team like Accrington. So I think streams are more for us at this minute. Tom, I gotta say, as Kev said, we cannot look too far ahead. For me personally, I'm looking at this. I think since like beginning of December, I've looked at the fixtures in January and February, and I thought this is kind of the make or break season. I think these games, I don't, obviously the professional thing to do is to take it game by game, and that's definitely, I'm sure that's how the players will. For me personally, it's just all these fixtures kind of make me, think that these are very difficult games coming in quick succession. And if we get past this, I think there's a really, really good chance that we're closer than ever to, what.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot of tough away games coming up. Like you said, Forest, Brentford, Bournemouth, City, and possibly Everton. So, you will expect to drop points in there. But on the flip side, you'll expect Arsenal to drop points as well, because Arsenal have got Tottenham, Villa, and Man City, 3 of the next 4 games. I'd be very surprised if they won all them. So, like I said, this season it's different to the last few years. It's going to be a lot of twists and turns. I think 85 will win the league, like it did in years gone by. Until Pep turned up and you had to be robots and win every single game. But yeah, it's back to kind of what it was this season. It's nice to be able to you can drop points now and then. It's not all over. So yeah, definitely some tough games in there. I expect us to drop points in a few of them. But as I said, I expect Arsenal to drop points in a few of them as well. So nice healthy cushion. And And yeah, as the players always say, but they're right. You've got to just take it game by game, and that's the best way to do it. Not get too far ahead of yourself. Tick each game off, and then the prize will naturally come. And let's hope we have it come there.
Yeah, just looking at the fixtures, I thought Arsenal do have at least some the tough games that they have are rather at home, and I think that's kind of what bothered me looking at the schedule. I feel like, but even so, as mentioned, they're going to have Spurs at home, who should probably turn up on their day on a North London derby. They do have Villa at home, and we know that Emery likes to play against Arsenal and can get a result. You never know. So there's also that. Patricio, are you as anxious as I am for these next 2 months?
I think just like the two said, we do have to take a game by game, but I think our main problem is that we sort of we have complacency. The players seem to. I think, it's a lesser side, which is why I think partially why we lost the Forest so early on, coming back off international break, and then losing to them to begin with. I think that's kind of now they're at the point that they're out doing so well. It's gonna make the players a bit scared. Maybe not players full on, but I do think we just need to, on the day, have the right mindset and just go out there with the intention of putting our all in. And yeah, I think we can do well. I mean, no one would have put at the start when we got Slot as a manager, no one would have put us where we are now. Top 4 at best is what most Liverpool fans, I assume, would have thought we could achieve. But now he's gone beyond that, at least at this point. So it's good to say that we have got a game in hand, points ahead, and we have all we need to do is get squad depth a little bit. Make sure that we're utilizing the money that we have available to us, whether it is Ben Doak money, Trent money, whatever it may be. But I do think we can do it. It's just literally, I think Slot, other than yesterday, his decision making has been on point. I think I agree with Tom in what he said, that we should have brought Bradley on earlier. I think those decisions will be made and ironed out. And like you said, the squad is enjoying the football. You can see it in training videos as well. They're enjoying. So, yeah, I think it'll be good. I'm excited to see all the rest of the games, to be fair.
Yeah, and that's the thing that, that's another important thing, I feel like, with the way we're doing this season. I think we didn't expect it, and it's like you just can't wait to see more of Liverpool playing, because there was a point in the last few seasons where maybe we're at a bit of a not as good of a form, and then we were struggling to find joy in watching the games every 3 days or every week maybe, and things like that. But for me, indeed, it's the joy has been the joy has been back. And I think that the one thing, as Kev said, I think, and as Jurgen said last season as well, and during multiple others, I believe, it's best to just enjoy the ride and see where it takes you. And I think there's obviously a great joy to be found in the destination, but then the moments along the way is what you remember the most. So that's what it is. You haven't lost faith in Chiesa. I think you're one of the few, to be honest, because by this it's just a bit of a joke now. I feel like, but hopefully we can see him more and more. And who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, Fabinho didn't really play that much in his first 3-4 months, and then he just started to be, this probably the best DM in the world for a while for us as well. Not really the same thing, but I'm gonna trick myself into believing that's a fair comparison there. So yeah, Bajcetic. So Bajcetic will stay at Salzburg. Me personally, I didn't want him loaned at the beginning of the season. I thought that he could prove good. What's the word that I'm looking for? I think
a rotation player, like squad depth.
Yeah, to cover for Gravenberch and McAllister there in the double pivot. I feel like I kind of got the arguments that he needs a bit more. He needs more minutes and he needs to play more. But then at the same time, I feel like he could, in the first few months that we've seen of him before the injury, I think he was at a really high level for his age, and I think he can, offer us a lot. I would have liked to keep him, but now obviously, if we've loaned him and it looks like it's, well, does it look like it's helping him? I don't know, but if he's there at Salzburg now, I think let him play by the end of the season, and we'll see. We can reassess and see how we're doing. I feel like obviously we have conceded more lately, and that's true. But I feel like there's also a pretty decent explanation for that. Like I feel like without Konate, we've been a bit more exposed. Obviously, it's not like a major excuse because Gomez has been great as well coming in. But then again, you don't want to concede that much. I think if you look at it though, for me personally, now I don't know about you lads, but for me personally, at the moment, defensive side is not really a huge concern. Like I don't really see us massively dropping off now, especially with Ibu back. Yeah, especially looking at the goals that we've conceded. You know, at Fulham we've conceded twice, but we've been playing with 10 men for like the majority of the game too. Against Newcastle, I remember the goal that we've conceded at the end as well. That probably shouldn't have happened realistically yesterday. I think Man United were fairly lucky to score twice. They could have scored more, yes, but if you look at the numbers too, at the end of the day, they've had like a 1.3 xg. So like their chances weren't really that huge as they might have seemed, and especially the one at the end, Maguire one was also an offside one. Well, in my opinion, what I'm trying to say is I don't think the defensive side is a huge concern now, and I think we're definitely going to address that moving forward. As Virgil said in his interview yesterday, I think from what we've seen, the attitude, especially from our captain, is the right one. And so going forward, I do expect us to kind of take care of what's been, not performing as well lately. But with that in mind, I think we're going to end tonight's live stream. I'm going to thank Kev, Tom, and Patricio a lot for being here tonight. Thanks to everyone in the chat. We had a pretty good presence as well. I appreciate everyone here on YouTube, over on X for joining us, and make sure to please subscribe to the channel and be here 7:30 p.m. UK time every day, different times, sometimes after the games, on weekend and on Wednesday as well. Thanks everyone once again for being here, and up until next time, up the Reds.